Obsessive compulsive disorder, a closer look at OCD and related disorders. What is obsessive compulsive disorder? Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD as it is often referred to, is a neurobiological disorder that causes intrusive, unpleasant thoughts and repetitive ritualistic behavior. Most people will think of hand washing when they hear the term OCD. However, OCD is much broader and more encompassing than just hand washing. The obsession side of OCD entails intrusive and unwanted thoughts that are typically kept private out of the threat of embarrassment that might be experienced from verbally expressing their inner thoughts. Some obsessive thoughts might be a recurring thought of a loved one being killed or injured, persistent ideas that you may have run someone over who was crossing the road, or thoughts that you will die in a certain way or at a certain age. Often, obsessions will fall under three themes: thoughts of aggression and or harm, sexual thoughts or ideas, and blasphemous thoughts. Some common obsessions are germs and the idea of contamination, doubts about who we are, what we have done, will do, or have forgotten to do, and order and symmetry. Compulsions, or the compulsive side of obsessive compulsive disorder, is characterized by the repetitive and ritualistic acts that a person will carry out in order to decrease the stress that their internal obsessions cause them. The most common compulsions are hand washing and checking. Checking is when a person is compelled to check and recheck something multiple times. For instance, did you leave the coffee pot on today? Did you lock your doors? Some disorders that fall under the umbrella of obsessive compulsive disorder are body dysmorphic disorder and hoarding disorder. Body dysmorphic disorder is diagnosed in people who perceive themselves as ugly, disgusting, or deformed, and focus on things that are barely noticeable or not even there. Those who suffer from body dysmorphic disorder will carry out repetitive and ritualistic acts, such as looking in the mirror for long periods of time or at several instances. They might hide or try to cover up what they feel is their flaw, and in some cases, the sufferer will seek out cosmetic surgery. Some have speculated that Michael Jackson may have suffered from a form of body dysmorphic disorder and may have sought out cosmetic surgeries in order to reach a desired look. This is a chart that shows Michael in different periods during his lifetime. Take a close look. What do you think? I attach meaning to things that don't need it. Hoarding. The picture that you see is a photo from inside the home of Herbert and Langley Collier. Brothers Homer and Langley Collier lived in a brownstone mansion in New York. In 1947, Homer Collier was found dead inside the home. However, before anyone found Homer, the paramedics and police had to get into the home. It took them 2 hours to finally enter the home through a second-story window. The front door was blocked by a wall of old newspapers that were so dense they could not be pushed through. The house had 10-foot ceilings with around 8 feet of stuff in each room. In the first 2 days, over 19 tons of stuff was removed from the Collier mansion, including, but certainly not limited to, an old X-ray machine, a rusted bicycle, the top to a horse-drawn carriage, and a gas chandelier. Although Homer had been found dead inside the home, Langley, his brother, was nowhere to be found. Rumors quickly began to spread that perhaps Langley was still inside the house, hiding, or possibly even dead. 3 weeks later, after they found Homer, while cleaning the rest of the stuff from the mansion, sure enough, Langley was found, dead, only 10 feet away from where Homer was found. He had been crawling through a tunnel that he had created within the hoard when his clothing got caught on something and pulled the hoard down on top of him. He was crushed to death. When they pulled him out, they could see where rats had chewed off parts of his hands, feet, and face. By the time Langley was found, a total of 120 tons of stuff had been removed from the house, including 14 grand pianos and 1 Model T car. When all was said and done at the Collier Mansion, over 170 tons was removed from the house. This is equal to around 283 of those Model T cars. The diagnosis of hoarding comes when someone has lost access to the living space within their home due to the hoard, and when acquiring and saving of items causes substantial distress or interference with everyday living. Due to mandatory reporting laws in all states within the U.S., oftentimes a hoarder will end up facing child or adult protective services, as hoarding is considered neglect under state laws. Around 2 to 5% of the population, or 6 to 15 million people, suffer from hoarding disorder, and they tend to be ashamed of the disorder because of the public shame that it brings. Rarely will the sufferer seek out help on their own, and many hoarders will feel discouraged and depressed, which hinders their ability to make any progress on the hoard themselves. When looking at the treatment for OCD, we see that it is associated with low levels of serotonin. Serotonin regulates things like mood, aggression, impulse control, sleep, appetite, body temperature, and pain. Using medication that targets the serotonin in the brain has been relatively successful in patients who suffer from OCD. However, these medications have shown not to improve hoarding disorder. As more research is done, we may one day know why. In addition to medication, behavioral therapy has shown to improve symptoms of OCD. In the rarer and more serious cases, electroconvulsive therapy or electroshock has been used, and even surgery when OCD does not respond to any other form of treatment. As time and science progresses, it is a hope for all sufferers of OCD and its related disorders that a cure will be found that can end the suffering for these patients. Thanks for watching!